In episode number 239, we cover the Thor Ragnarok trailer. Who will be the winner of Nickelodeon Guts?
We've also got the latest from Disney's Hall of Fame inductees, many of which are Marvel and Star Wars related.
And one of our comic book highlights of the week is Harley Quinn number 17 with a very special appearance by our favorite Harley writer, Paul Dini.
All of this and more on today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
And those of you joining us for the very first time, it's about time. The way we format the show is first we start out with some news, covering all those things I just mentioned, and we follow up with a comic book highlight of the week, and occasionally we have a movie review as well.
So because I know they will ask if I don't ask you, what is the weekly baby update? The size of a jalapeno now.
It is. Can we get like Baby Watch 2017? Baby update, it is the size of a jalapeno. I am almost out of my first trimester, which I hear the first one's the hardest, which I hope is the truth, because right now I'm sitting here going, why do women do this multiple times? This is the worst thing ever.
I've been asking that since forever. Even before, I was like, why do you want a baby? Why do we want to go through this?
Because you don't think of the 9 months of death. You just think of the adorable little squishy thing in your arms.
Or the 2+ years after it's born, when it's just can't find. I mean, come on, use a toilet. Don't be disgusting.
So, baby's doing well. Mom is suffering from everything that you can imagine. Morning sickness is finally gone, which is good because that was just shit. It was the worst time of my life ever. But now there's all this crazy stuff like elevated heart rate and dizziness and neck problems and Jesus.
So that is the update, I guess?
That's the update. Other than that, baby's happy and healthy and still doing backflips. Can't feel it yet, but I'm worried when I can because I saw that thing on the sonogram. It was just flipping everywhere.
So before we move into the news for the week, I do want to remind listeners, in case, we never pointed this out, they know that there is a contact page there, but we are accepting listener mail. So if you have something to say to the podcast, some feedback, some questions, that is longer than what would normally be in a tweet or on a Facebook comment, if you head on over to TheReasonsImBroke.com and click on Contact, you can actually submit a full email, a full message for the show. And if you do, we may pick it out and read it right here on the air.
It is a great way to pay homage to your Emperor President Palpa Kelly.
And to Darth Vader Daniel.
Darth Vader Daniel.
So definitely check it out. Go to TheReasonsImBroke.com, click on Contact, and let's see who the first person is that sends us a full email.
And with that, we're going to jump right into some action-packed news. So Disney has just announced their 2017 Disney Legend Hall of Fame and some of the people that they're inducting into it. On this list, we have Stan Lee, Carrie Fisher, and Oprah Winfrey.
There are 9 total people that are going to be formally inducted by Disney Chairman/CEO Bob Iger on July 14th at the D23 Expo. So you've got Marvel's Stan Lee, You've got the late Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia herself, and Oprah Winfrey, Queen of the fucking world. I don't know how she wasn't already inducted into Disney.
I don't know how she's getting inducted. What does she do with Disney? I'm very confused.
They probably partnered up once, and all of the money she brought in for Disney
was more money than they've ever made of anything.
Exactly right. And that was enough for her to get inducted. As well it should fucking be. Bought her way in, and that's what you do with Disney. You buy your way in.
Can we talk about these D23 expos, though? I have wanted to go to one forever, and it eludes me. I don't know how you get into this mysterious expo.
I guess it's once every 2 years now, and it is sort of like a Comic-Con for Disney heads, for Disney fans. And that is where they announced the latest trailers for the Marvel movies now, some concept art for Star Wars. If you want anything in the latest from those properties, you go to fucking D23, or you go to Star Wars Celebration.
Well, how do I get there? I want to be there. I want to be where the D23s are.
I have no idea. You're asking the non-Disney head.
Oh, man. I think you have to be a part of the D23 group, and it's like a monthly payment thing, and I just don't got time for that.
That's probably a start. You gotta give them money
a
month, and then maybe they'll consider telling you how you can actually make it there.
They'll give me clues, and every different dollar amount I get to, they give me another clue.
So the Disney Legends Award is the highest honor. This is actually, hold on a minute. We've got a quote here from Bob Iger who says, the Disney Legends Award is the highest honor our company can bestow on an individual, reserved for those few who have truly made an indelible mark on the history of the Walt Disney Company. It's a celebration of talent, a recognition of achievement, and an expression of gratitude to the men and women whose work has significantly contributed to Disney's enduring reputation for creative excellence, end quote.
Each of the Disney Legend are honored with a bronze commemorative plaque that will be on display at the Legends Plaza at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. Each inductee also receives a rare Disney Golden Pass, giving them a lifetime access to all Disney theme parks.
I think that's a pretty good trade-off. I know a lot of celebrities, when they do go to the parks, are mainly backstage. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see them out and about, right in front of the castle. Maybe they have like a special after hours or before hours access that they can do, but I don't know how valuable this rare Golden Pass is.
Well, of course it's valuable because you get to go all the time forever. Like, there's no blockout dates, you just go when you want.
Yes, but if you're a celebrity, I mean, how much can you really enjoy the park?
You would actually be surprised because, so they hire the guest relations tour guides to walk around with them, and then they dress down a lot. So you really sometimes can't even tell that they're celebrities. So I was in the park one day when Scarlett Johansson was there. And you couldn't really tell it was her unless somebody pointed it out to you.
And she was just walking around?
She was just, I mean, she had the tour guide with her.
Sure.
But she was wearing a pink hat. She had all her hair pulled up in the hat. She had sunglasses on. If you really think about it, most of the people who go there are there to spend time with their families. And unless you announce that you're there, Lady Gaga was dumb one day and announced that she was in the park and dressed like Lady Gaga. So, of course, everybody freaked out and was looking for her. But if you don't announce that you're coming and you dress down a lot, you got to think most celebrities, we see them with their makeup on. You come in without makeup, who's going to recognize you? I don't recognize myself without makeup.
Yeah, I can see how people kind of just overlook a general someone dressed down in sunglasses. Do they get immediate access to the rides? Can they go right to the front, ride it, and keep going?
So if you have the tour guide with you, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. If you hire that tour guide for the day, it's like a fast pass for everything.
So if you are rich and you're not a celebrity, you can hire these people on fast pass to everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that all makes sense because you're not going to want these celebrities standing around and even though they're dressed down, being in the eyes of the person in front and behind them and being possibly exposed to who they are and who they could be. And then you're kind of trapped, especially if you're in one of those big convoluted and crazy congested lines. Yes, then you're kind of stuck. So that all makes sense, but good on all of the inductees. Obviously, Stan Lee created many of the Marvel characters that is making them all of the money right now. Carrie Fisher has been a huge instrumental part of the Star Wars universe for the story and for a lot of the fans especially. So yes, definitely throwing in there. And Oprah Winfrey, we already said, she makes the money. She makes them as much, if not more, than Stan Lee and the Star Wars universe has made because it's fucking Oprah. People underestimate her. I'm sure they underestimate her.
I'm sure they do. Yes, that woman makes a lot of money. Any book in her book club is an instant, like, humongous seller because women eat that shit up.
Does that get immediately put into the Library of Congress, like, vault forever?
It's higher than that. It's in the Oprah Winfrey Book Club.
So there's a separate wing that is just the Oprah Winfrey Book Club.
Yes, and that's where it goes.
That is incredible. So actually staying and talking about Carrie Fisher, she will be included in Star Wars Episode 9 with permission from her brother Todd Fisher and daughter Billie Lourd.
Carrie had already filmed scenes for Episode 8, and the studio will use recently unused footage and rewrite the script to accommodate the actress's passing. No CGI will be used in recreating her, which is a very smart move.
that was still one of our, or at least one of my main critiques from Rogue One is Carrie Fisher's recreation, and then Tarkin or whatever. I think it was Tarkin, General Tarkin's recreation, and it simply did not look good. So I think it would also be viewed as a little bit disrespectful from some fans if they did that. I know they already did it once, but it was with an older actor who, I mean, time's gone by. If you had done this with Carrie Fisher 20 years from now, I think it's more doable. But it's good to hear that there is some kind of way to bring the character into the final Star Wars episode, and they'll probably give her closure as the story kind of progresses, because this won't be the final trilogy. They'll do more after this, but if they can end her story here, then I think it can be done gracefully.
And then she can go and be with Han, and they can be in love together in the afterlife. Is there an afterlife in Star Wars? Oh, yeah, because they come back as ghosts.
Yes, they come back as ghosts.
Are they not ghosts?
They're Force ghosts. Yeah, they're fucking ghosts.
They're forceful ghosts?
Maybe.
Like,
some of them.
Boo! Boo, motherfucker! And I'm like, whoa, I'm sorry, ghosts.
We don't know yet. They could be. There hasn't been enough information about them, and that's coming from a guy that watches very minimal Star Wars, so obviously take my word for it.
Do they still have the chlorines when they're ghosts?
Oh, the midichlorians?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure they have little ghosty midichlorians. Again, I am making this up as someone who knows nothing, very little about Star Wars.
They'd be like ghostichlorines.
Okay, I will tell you what. That is a good question, actually, because midichlorians help you work through and harness the Force. So they're not actually producing the Force for you, but they connect you to it. So if you are a Force ghost, then you must be either one with the Force already, which they speak a lot about in the movies. You have to become one with the Force, and when you die, that's when you can just immediately harness the Force, maybe without the use of midichlorians. So that could be it. You don't need the midichlorians when you're a Force ghost.
You know what I want the Force to be? One giant midichlorian.
Yes! One giant midichlorian.
Like the mother of all midichlorians. Like sending out her little baby midichlorians to all these other people.
That would be the best, because that would be the ultimate troll to all of the fans that are refusing to have this be a part of the lore.
I expect a giant midichlorian to kind of look like a Kabuto, but without eyes. And just ghosty. So like a red blood cell, but with little spider legs.
I was thinking more like the Queen from Aliens.
No,
just shooting off her midichlorian babies.
That's too spooky. I'm not thinking alien things, because they're essentially babies that sprout from your stomach, and I feel like my child's already trying to kill me. So
you're thinking more like a cell with arms and legs. Do they have eyes?
No.
Do they have mouths?
No, but she speaks telepathically through the midichlorian force.
So they have little brains.
Yes.
Except for her, who has a ginormous fucking brain.
And she's just manipulating people. Like, she's just out there being a bitch. Like, oh, why'd you give me midichlorians? I don't know.
So now we've got the bit of news that broke the internet that even the casual comic reader or the non-reader knew about. So I don't know what news outlet picked this up, but they took it and ran with it, because we just checked Bleeding Cool, Newsarama, and of course Twitter when people send us links. In this case, there are people out there that are coming into the shop that don't buy any comics, and they're looking for this particular book. So I don't know if Fox picked it up, or CNN, or Jezebel. I don't know who picked it up, but it is out there. And that is with the very controversial new #1 from Marvel, and that is X-Men Gold #1.
So the reason this book has caused so many issues, gotten on so many people's radar, is because readers quickly discovered hidden political and religious references in the artwork by artist Ardian Saif.
So the most prominent example was a Quran verse displayed on Colossus's t-shirt that reads, quote, and this isn't like the entire quote is on the t-shirt, but it's kind of like John 3:16, but for the Quran version. And then when you actually search it up, the verse reads, "O you who have believed, do not take the Jews and the Christians as allies. They are in fact allies of one another, and whoever is an ally to them among you, then indeed he is one of them. Indeed, Allah guides not the wrongdoing people." End quote. So that's the end of the verse, and that was actually on a Marvel character in a fucking comic book.
The verse has been used in the artist's home country of Indonesia as a protest against, you left me with this name on purpose,
Basuki Jahara Purnama.
Even you had trouble with that one. the Christian governor of the capital city of Jakarta.
So I did a little bit of background reading on this, and I guess Basuki has been one of the latest ones in Indonesia that hasn't been a Muslim. So this has already been like, okay, all eyes on him. But he has also been accused of blasphemy against the Quran, and people are asking for his removal from office and arrest.
But he goes farther than that. He's not just upset at this one person. The art also contains an obscured sign reading jewelry next to Kitty Pryde's head, who happens to be a Jewish Marvel character.
And the sign of jewelry is partially obscured, so it almost looks like Jew right next to Kitty Pryde's head. And this is the artist protesting for his home country of Indonesia, so he wants the arrest of this same Christian governor, and he is using the comic book, though his work, his hired work, I should say, to put in political messages into something that has nothing to do with what is going on in Indonesia. So Siaf has since claimed that the art is in protest and that it is not specifically against other Christians or Jews. Now, I do see that. I'm like, okay, I can see why you are going specifically over the governor, because you're going back and hearkening to your home country of Indonesia. And yeah, you're not saying all Christians and Jews, because you're working with them. I mean, you're publishing for them, you're making them money. I believe him, but this is not how you go about doing this.
No, absolutely not. Especially when it's something that you've been hired to do. This is your job. There needs to be some professionalism within that.
One of Marvel's more popular Muslim creators, G. Willow Wilson, has called Siaf's personal philosophy, quote, garbage.
Well, there you go.
Right on Twitter, right there, she was saying, yeah, this guy can go fuck off, because this is not what you do with your personal political or religious beliefs. One of the things we talked about months ago was if Ethan Van Sciver started putting in pro-Trump messages in the Green Lantern books, yes, then we would have an issue with what was going on, or with the Hal Jordan book, but he's not. So I don't give a shit about what his political opinions are. I will continue buying the Hal Jordan books as long as that is left outside of the book. And that has continued. That is called, as you said, professionalism.
We do have a statement from Marvel, quote, the mentioned artwork in X-Men Gold #1 was inserted without knowledge behind its reported meanings. These implied references do not reflect the views of the writer, editors, or anyone else at Marvel, and are in direct opposition of the inclusiveness of Marvel Comics and what the X-Men have stood for since their creation. This artwork will be removed from subsequent printings, digital versions, and trade paperbacks, and disciplinary action is being taken. End quote.
Marvel has since terminated Ardian and will find a new replacement artist for the series. Issues numbers 2 and 3 will be the final ones by this artist.
I feel like that's really the only move they can make.
He brought this on himself. I have no sympathy for this artist, simply for the fact that it's not a professional thing to do, and it's not something that the readers want to be reading or want to be exposed to. The fact that he believes this is fine, and readers wouldn't have cared or even found out about it if he had not included it in the comic. But since he did, now it's not only not even specifically a slight against Jews or Christians is what I'm concerned about, but to the reader, because this is changing the artwork from what it would be intended to be. It makes no sense for Colossus to have that particular verse. It jumps out when Nightcrawler is batting, and then the next panel has him symbolically hitting Kitty Pryde, who is in the background, in the face, who is again the Jewish character. It's just a weird series of almost subliminal messages that the readers are pointing out, and that they are clearly obvious to everyone that read it. I don't know how this got past the editors. I don't know how not a single person looked at the Colossus t-shirt and went, let me do a quick Google search of what this means. Hey, why'd you put this in here? No, let's not. Anytime a Quran, anything is involved in books or television, you have to remove that shit, because people will get upset. Not only Muslims, but people outside of that faith too, just by the fact that it's simply in the work. So you don't want to include it in there. And yes, you're fired, and you won't get work for a very long time. And that's going to happen because people don't want to associate themselves with this particular controversy.
The thing I don't think he realizes, and I know he was just trying to show his support and his opposition for what was happening, but the reason he's upset is he feels like these things are being imposed on him. things he doesn't believe are being imposed on him. That's essentially what he did by putting this in his book.
Exactly right.
He imposed it on all the rest of us. And I support people in what they feel is right for them and their beliefs, but when it begins to impose on other people, that's when it becomes something that I no longer support.
This is not the outlet you want to use to share what is happening or what you're against. Make your own comic book. You have a Facebook page. Put it out on Facebook, and leave it at that. Don't put it in your actual work. That makes no sense. I don't care how upset you are. It is not going to accomplish anything. By what was the best case scenario of him putting this in here? What is the best case scenario?
We all go, yes, let's let's fight this. The best case scenario is nobody noticed. And then what was the point of there anyway?
Exactly. Just to make himself feel good. He was upset about it. Mm-hmm. He felt he needed to put it somewhere. And he thought, this'll get him. The X-Men Gold #1, I'm going to put it in here. Which is beautifully drawn. He is an amazing artist. But those messages stick out like a sore thumb. It is insane how that is out and on the pages and on the books. And I'm not necessarily saying that, people were offended. They shouldn't have put that in there. No, that's not even the case for me, at least. It's more the fact that this is not where you should be expressing your reality. It is not in Marvel Comics. It is not in a medium that people use to escape the world around them.
Absolutely. That 100% hits the nail on the head. People use these for escape. Don't put your reality into it.
And there is a difference between symbolically writing a story that recreates a fictional character or a story that you believe in, and then in putting it on the big screen or on a comic book. There's a difference there because then it's symbolic. But to put essentially propaganda on there without anyone's permission, this is not the writer doing it. This is just him deciding, I'm going to put this in here. That is different. When you see BVS and you see the symbolism of Superman being brought down from what is essentially the cross, and then they all hold him, and it's Jesus Christ, right? That's the symbolism there. But that is the intended plan from everyone involved, from the creators, the special effects crew, everyone. But when you're doing it underhandedly and no one else puts you to this, and this is just a realism connection as opposed to a symbolic meaning, that's once again the issue. And anyone that tries to search for the symbolic meaning, it's not here. This is not the intention, and it is not like, actually Colossus is going to do this in the future. No, none of that is the case here. He admits it himself on Facebook. It was his form of protest, and it backfired in a huge way.
Yes, absolutely. I feel bad for the guy. He tried to do what he thought was right, and now
I don't feel bad. No, not at all. Not me. I think if you're that much of an idiot, you're going to get terminated. You're going to get fired.
If you're a high schooler and you were drunk one night and said, let me just put this in here.
I'm working on the yearbook page. I'm going to put a mustache in one of these pictures.
Mustache on the principal. Yeah.
That'll show them. What was your intention? To make people laugh? This is the exact same thing. This is not the place to do it. Go on MySpace. I used to Photoshop staff members and classmates on MySpace.
Oh,
and
no.
I used to put, there was one lady, I know it's mean, but, I was fucking 15. What's the matter now? I thought that was funny, and it was, and no one got hurt because of it.
Oh, my God.
One lady looked like Ursula from The Little Mermaid,
Aww.
And all she needed was the little beauty mark. So I did a little side-by-side, and I found the picture that looked exactly like her staff picture, and I shared it on the MySpace friends, board. And it was hilarious, and people laughed. And if there was Facebook, it would have been it would have been liked to oblivion.
This is why we lost MySpace. This is why we can't have nice things.
Because Daniel was an asshole.
Because of your Ursula picture.
I also did one of the gym teachers. He was a water polo guy, so I took his picture and I put him underwater with little water polo glasses. That one wasn't making fun of him. I was just he likes water polo. I was bored. Let me Photoshop a cap and the little water polo goggles and do little cheap-ass water effects around them, and now he's swimming.
This is why we can't have nice things.
That's exactly it.
Because you photoshopped your teachers.
Now, I'm not working for Marvel. I'm not putting little verses in the background. I'm not putting, the reasons although that's even less of a thing than anything. Artists put their friends in the frames all the time, but to put straight-up verses that, when you look them up, are aggressive in nature, that is going to upset people.
I want you to go into work tomorrow And they'll be like, Daniel, we heard you photoshopped your teachers, and that's not what we're about, so we have to let you go.
No! They knew them. They knew all those teachers. They were all personally connected to them. And of course, X-Men Gold #1 has sold out to speculators. And let me tell you straight up, this will never be a $1,000 comic book. And no matter what anyone tells you, just only listen to me. I'm telling you that this will never reach $1,000 sold. There's a difference between it being listed on eBay for someone trying to make $1,000, which if you buy it for $1,000, you're an idiot. But 2, this is going to blow over as quickly as possible, and at most, maybe it'll be in 15 to 20 years, $200 comic. So wait 20 years to make $195. That's one thing that my coworker and I always pointed out, like, well, in that time period, you could have been working a lot. And it's like you're waiting all this time for $195 or 196.
So wait, so they bought the comic and they just quit work?
What? I don't know, I guess. In our little scenario.
And they're just waiting for it, like, oh, yes, I'll wait. Like, no, they're still working. They're still making that money. They just also have the book.
And yeah, the book will, but it's still like, okay, 15 years to make $195. I don't know. There's better investments. That's all I'm saying. You can go to the stock market and you can put in $20 and potentially make $200 in a year. Yeah,
but what if they want that book too?
Well, they can have the book too, but don't go into comics to get rich. That's not going to happen.
Yes, sure. But like when we die someday, our kid will be very rich if they sell off our collection.
They will not be very rich.
They'll be a little rich.
By inflation at that point, like maybe they can go 2 months without a house payment. That's the way I look at it.
That is very rich for me. I'm like, 2 months without rent?
All right, then. By your definition.
I use 2 paper towels, and I'm like, I'm a millionaire now, I guess. I use 2 paper towels.
What do you mean paper towels?
Because paper towels are expensive.
That's true. When I was growing up, you reuse the same paper towel, get it wet.
I dry my hands, I set it on the counter, and then I have to dry them a second time. My mom, she owns paper towels. She won't use them. If there is spill and I reach for the paper towel, she's like, there's a dish rag right there.
That I will never do. Like, I know my mom also used the dish rag, but it always smelled because it's being used for everything. Yeah, and it never got cleaned, like, really. I mean, what do? You throw it in the wash and then it comes back out and it's still smelly. Well, I never cleaned anything like that, but... But I will never use a filthy rag to clean things. That makes no sense in my mind. I will forever use a fresh paper towel, clean up everything, and throw that shit away.
All right, I guess we're millionaires now. Don't know where you're hiding all this money.
So continuing on the comic book news, we've got the figures for March 2017's comic book market share.
Although Marvel made more money because they're underhanded, and they sold Amazing Spider-Man number 25 for $9.99, DC sold more books because they're better. I mean, we're not fanboys.
Because DC Rebirth is amazing, that's why. So we have the top 5 of a couple of lists here for March, and kicking it off with top 5 graphic novels sold for March 2017.
Number 5 was Death of X by Marvel. Who died?
That was the rumored, like, Marvel getting rid of the X-Men, and they're going to replace them with the Inhumans because they don't have the rights to the X-Men. But then they brought out this line of X-Men books like Jean Grey, like X-Men Gold, like X-Men Blue, and they're actually continuing them, which is good because fans of the X-Men are very happy in spite of messages and whatnot.
Are they going to have X-Men Red and Yellow and Platinum and...
Well, those are references to the
Sun and Moon
older comics because of their costume colors, because of the series that released in the past.
Listen, your informants are wrong. It's reference to Pokemon games.
The number 4 spot is Suicide Squad Volume 1, The Black Vault. This is from DC Comics' Rebirth line.
Number 3 is Harley Quinn Volume 1, Die Laughing, also from DC Comics Rebirth.
At number 2 is The Walking Dead Volume 27 from Image Comics, because The Walking Dead will forever be in that top 10 anytime they release a trade paperback.
And the trade paperback that will forever be in the number 1 spot, Saga Volume 7 by Image Comics.
Not Volume 8, not Volume 9, they have no chance. Volume 7 will forever be...
Saga will forever be in the top number 1 spot. Calm down.
I think Walking Dead's going to take it again one of these months.
You want to bet on this?
Top 5 comic books for March. At number 5 is Iron Fist number 1 from Marvel, coming straight out of the Netflix TV show.
Number 4 is Batman number 19 by DC Comics.
At number 3 is also Batman, but this is number 18, part of the lead up to I Am Bane.
Number 2 is Dark Knight 3 Master Race number 8.
Beautiful cover, one of my favorites from the Master Race. It is my favorite. It's with Wonder Woman and the Lasso of Truth. It is incredible. At number 1 is Amazing Spider-Man number 25 from Marvel, that $10 single issue.
Oof. That's like the only book you can pick up that week.
Basically, I mean, that is the strategy of, we're going to charge so much that you are forced to drop 1 or 2 other books if you want to keep reading one of these books this month.
They go, we're going to fuck your wallet. You're going to have to make some hard decisions.
Overall, comic book sales are up compared to last year.
That's good. We were worried for a while last year.
Yeah, this was right before DC Rebirth that it was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, it's not 90s down. It's not 80s bad. It's okay. It's not 2000s terribleness. And it is not the recession. We're not there. But this is, like, awesome. Last year was just like, fuck, man. DC is weak. Marvel is strong-ish. Image and the indie books are going up. But now DC is strong. Indie books are up. And now the Marvel side is a little bit weaker. But they're still in a better position than DC was last year. So although their sales are down overall, it's still not as bad as that DCU line. So this is why it is a better year than last year.
I think something that plays a large part in that, too, is not just the better stories that we're getting, particularly from DC, but all those movies that have come out. They've just blown up. Whether you were a comic book fan or not, you went to see those movies and you loved them. And then you thought you were an expert, and then you got in fights with me at work and I schooled you. Boom!
Have you had a recent schooling or no?
No. I feel like I started to have one. And I don't remember. But I always school people, particularly when it's about DC. My favorite is after Suicide Squad came out and people kept talking to me about Harley and the Joker. Mm-hmm. And the people I work with don't think that I know comics. Because I don't go and I talk about it at work.
And you're a girl.
And I'm a girl, exactly. So, and I've been told many times I don't come off, like I don't give the air that I'm a nerd. But I'm a huge nerd. I'm a huge geek. I love my dragon. Why are you laughing at me?
You sound like Trump. I'm a huge nerd. I'm a huge geek. I'm telling you. I'm
bigly. I'm a bigly nerd.
I promise you I am.
But, I mean, our listeners know I love Pokemon. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love my Batman and my comics. And I love all this stuff. So then people start bringing up things. And I'll just make a comment like, oh, man, yeah, Batman's awesome. And they're like, oh, really? And then they start. And they think they know. And I'm like, actually. And by the end of it, they go, oh. Like when I got in that argument about whether somebody called Charizard a fire dragon or something. And I was like, actually, slow down. And then they were like, whoa.
It's a fire flying, bitches.
Dropped a mic, walked out. And then I become so much cooler in their eyes. And then after that, this happens every time. So we have that one big conversation where I school them. And then after that, they tentatively come up to me about things like, so did you see this?
Before they I've had that too. Before they express their opinion, they want to hear yours so that they can quickly side with you. It's so bizarre because I've done the opposite. I'm like, I will give my opposite opinion and then flip-flop in the middle of it and watch them follow along as well.
That's why you're a troll.
It's a mind game, but it's also like I want to see. It's an experiment to me. I have mental experiments all the fucking time.
I know
with the people I'm around.
Like your wife.
Not as often, though, because I'm with my coworkers more often than I'm with you. So.
This is true. Hashtag married life.
So, yes, it is fun to do. And once you're in that position, cherish that, Kelly. Because you can do things like what I do.
Okay, but I don't want to do the things that you do.
Okay, or your opinion is more valued now than ever before.
Yes, of course it is. I influence people all the time at work. I'm like, no, you shouldn't see that. That's shit. Go see this instead. And they're like, oh, yeah.
And one of the more recent things that I've also used, common knowledge and kind of tricked sort of people, is one of the things is we just recently saw the featurette to the Batman and Harley Quinn original animated movie that we covered 2 or 3 episodes ago, in which it is the same style as Batman the Animated Series. And I'm like, all right, let's go to the comment section. I'm going to go on the YouTube comment section. I'm going there and I'm going to read everything that is wrong with everyone that is younger than me that did not grow up on Batman the Animated Series. And the most common thing was, where's Tara Strong? Why didn't they get Tara Strong as Harley Quinn?
Oh, my heart.
And almost all of them I commented with asterisk Arlene Sorkin. Asterisk Arlene Sorkin as like a correction to every single one of these. Because I know they're going to go, who is Arlene Sorkin? And then they'll look it up and they'll see it's the original voice of Harley Quinn. And in my mind, they'll go, oh, I was wrong. I will now know in the future that it is Arlene Sorkin and not Tara Strong. But instead, they'll push it out of their minds and be like, oh, fuck, I'm wrong about that. Next thing. I know that's what's going to happen, but even to get that, I'm like, yes, that's a little win, because they never respond back. They never respond back. And some people have gotten on there and said, actually, you mean Arlene Sorkin. Tara Strong's voice sounds like nails on a chalkboard.
Thank you.
Holy shit, man. They're like right on our same page here. And I just up them like a little thumbs up.
Do you like podcast? Reason I'm Broke?
Well, I figured by like giving them a thumbs up, they get the notification anyway, and maybe they'll click on our channel. Maybe they'll do it. But either way, like, great, I'm there. I'm happy to support it. Someone said, why does this animation look like it's from the 90s? And that person got piled on like, you don't know what Batman the Animated Series is.
Nope.
And they could have been trolling, but it's not a good troll.
You are not allowed to troll our child. I'm just throwing that out here with all these witnesses. Do not troll my child.
I may, only because it'll make him sharper.
No.
It will make him sharper.
No, it's going to make him angry like your wife.
It'll give him a nice exterior defensive shell, an emotional shell
Vegeta.
that will be used
Let
later in
me just
life.
blast my son.
Everyone I work with develops a stronger defensive shell. Because I say things all the time that they otherwise would have been like, hey, you can't say that. To like, oh, that's kind of funny now. Like, in their minds, like, that they develop something. And in my mind, I am improving the 5 people I work with in Orlando.
Do not troll our child, please. Just don't do it. For my sake. At least wait until he's older and can understand what you're doing.
I don't know how to answer that because I don't know what trolling a child or because I've never done it. Like even with the kids that I deal with at work, I don't think I've ever trolled them. More, I mean, I've asked them questions so that they reach a conclusion that's correct.
Okay, and that's okay, because then you're strengthening their mind. But when you do things, calling things the wrong name just to make them angry...
When they get to 8 or 9, yes, I will start doing that. Yes, I will start calling the cartoon the wrong thing, because that's what my parents did.
Okay.
Every video game system was a Nintendo.
Now, let me ask you this. Did your parents legitimately know the difference?
No, but they were, they didn't.
Okay, then. So they weren't trolling you. You would be doing it on purpose.
I have to continue the tradition.
No! If you legitimately don't know what it is, fine. Call everything a Game Boy.
Well, it's like one of my coworkers, he watches a shit ton of Steven Universe, and he has, like, catchphrases, and I always now ask, like, is that from Steven Universe? Knowing that it probably isn't. He's like, not everything I say is from Steven Universe. But I now ask that every time because the 1 or 2 times he did say something and it was from Steven Universe or Rick and Morty, I'm like, yep, now everything you say is from those shows, and I will forever ask.
Like every song you listen to is a Jess song?
Yes. Love Jess, one of the greatest, the trance queen of music.
And does that not bother you when I ask you if every song is a Jess song?
Not anymore, because I know you're trolling.
No, I legitimately don't know what her songs are. I just assume everything you listen to is by her. Anyway, moral of the story is do not troll my child.
I will try not to.
No,
Early
no,
2017, quarter 1 of 2017 has been we're not in summer yet, right? No, so quarter 1 has been the quarter of trailers. We've gotten the Justice League trailer. We've gotten the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer that we covered. And now we have the latest from Marvel, and that is the Thor Ragnarok trailer.
You pronounced that wrong. It's a Thor Aggro Crag trailer.
Thor Aggro Crack trailer.
Incredible! Yes! We know each other. He's a friend from work. Oh, come on.
I wanted to do the theme song. Can I do the theme song?
Sure. Trailer.
Wow!
Pretty much nailed it.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of that trailer. The whole thing. All I like is, wow!
So this is basically Thor Planet Hulk. It's Planet Thor, right? Now, you never read the original trade paperback. You
Nope.
haven't seen the animated
Nope.
movie, which I would recommend just going for the trade paperback. It's not the greatest, but the book itself, it is what you saw in the trailer of Thor, I guess, landing on a different planet where he is not strong enough to fight this alien race. And then he gets forced into this Coliseum, and the head of that is fucking Jeff Goldblum as the main villain, I guess, or the collector's brother, whatever he played. I don't care. He's Jeff Goldblum in this story. He is the greatest character in the Marvel universe.
Ever.
And he is forcing these alien species to fight against one another. We don't know why, but if it's like the trade paperback, it is to further implement his status as king.
I hope he acts just like Jeff Goldblum always acts.
He's gonna be weird. He's gonna be flamboyant sometimes.
Yeah, it's gonna be
He's gonna
great.
be amazing. And one of my coworkers said, I mean, he doesn't really fit in he doesn't fit in anything.
No,
in any of his
ever.
projects. He always sticks out and
never
in a
fit
good way.
In Jurassic Park.
He hit on what's her name, even though she had feelings for the male scientist. There was a female male scientist in Jurassic Park.
He hit on her?
He did. When they were watching when they were out in the field and they see their first brontosaurus, he's going through her hands and he's touching them. And do you
I
remember that?
remember. He's like, oh, these lines. No.
And she's all like, ooh, my. And
I mean, he'd make me blush too.
when he got hurt and he was like on the science table and his shirt is just open and he's just laying there, I'm like, you're not injured.
You're just trying to get some
You're
gold.
seducing everyone. That's what you're doing.
And it worked. Here we are.
He is going to be amazing in Thor Ragnarok. I am very happy to go see that on opening weekend, to pay a ticket personally to see the Jeff Goldblum Marvel movie. That is what it is in my mind, because the last two Thor movies were not the greatest. They were not something I will ever want to see again. This I will run to theaters for.
So they should retitle it Jeff Goldblum Ragnarok.
They should retitle it anything. It doesn't matter what they call it, because I'm there because they showed me a little snippet of Jeff Goldblum. Fuck yes, I am in. But aside from that, the story is he has to fight the Hulk, and it's just like Planet Hulk. And the new love interest that was originally the Hulk's, in the comics, it's this gray lady. I think I showed you what she looked like. She's going to be Thor's new love interest, because Natalie Portman probably won't return to the future of the Thor franchise. So this will be the new love interest for Thor, and we're going to have Hulk essentially be the Silver Surfer in this story.
So how was Hulk getting with that gray lady?
They don't say. They're just two compatible aliens.
Oh.
And in this, in the original story...
Is he still Big Hulk?
Yes, because he is still Big Hulk.
And she's that little gray lady?
She's actually, I mean, she's only a couple of feet shorter than him. She's still a massive lady.
Oh, okay.
She's very strong. She's very lean. She's not like, as wide as Thor, but she's kind of like an Amazonian, if anything. When Hulk frees the people of this planet and defeats the king, they need a new hero, a new leader to look up to, so that order is continued, so that order in this shifting of power is as smooth as possible. And in this case, Hulk helps maintain that order, and the fact that he's so strong and he can heal and his blood can help certain species survive even, that is what attracts, I'm assuming, this character to the Hulk himself. And she does even say, let me rule with you, on your side, by your side, as the queen. And in the trade paperback, it's done way better than in the animated series, where it's just like, 1 minute to the next, she just likes the Hulk. But in the book, it's built up, and there's tension, there's sexual tension, and then there's this emotional tension, and it's done excellent.
That lady?
Yes, that's the lady. She's pulled it up on her phone.
She's way too small for... I'm sorry. There's logistics that I can't figure out, and we need to move on.
Are you talking about Hulk's dick size?
Yes.
How do you know it's got to be massive like him? What if it's tiny? What if that's the one bit of his body that gets absolutely small? That that maybe they can, and it's an alien species. How do you know they even have the same ways to get pregnant?
Okay, so if it got smaller, it would hide underneath all his muscles, and then there'd be no point. You wouldn't be able to find it.
Well, if it got bigger, you'd see it all the time, because it just has the little shorts. You know that, right?
Maybe he tucks. We don't know.
He is not tucking anything.
Listen, I just assume that everything gets bigger. I just assume this, and she's too small for that.
It's fine. It's a fine story that we're not going to get in Thor Ragnarok. Instead, Thor is going to be
Didn't they have kids
the love
together?
interest. They did. They had kids together as well.
So they have to be some kind of compatible.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what... It's comics, Kelly. It's comics. You don't ask these questions. You just enjoy the story. You're the continuity nerd right now. You're a logistics nerd.
I'm the physiology nerd. I want to know how this happens.
It's a love story. Don't you like love stories?
What do their kids look like?
They look more like Hulk. Like, they're green. They're kind of... I think one of them is gray, actually.
They didn't get any human in them?
No, they don't. They're not like little Bruce Banners. No.
I'm looking this up. I gotta see what his kid... Now it's just showing baby Lego Hulks.
What'd you look up?
Hulk kids.
Look up Son of Hulk, and it will immediately pop up.
Son of Hulk.
Because that is the exact name of the series that came out for one of his kids.
He's creepy looking. I don't like him.
Well, he's kind of gray like his mom. He's got some of the designs. Kind of green as well.
Them some big babies, man. If she had that baby, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's impossible.
Then you won't see it on the big screen.
No,
you will not see it.
Because she's going to be with Thor. And his short hair. Can I say I like his short hair?
A lot of people don't. They're like, where the fuck is the hair?
Nah, I like it.
And it's all males. A bunch of guys, they're man crush.
Now we know. I like his shorter hair.
I have no preference either way. But he does have the helmet.
Yes.
The helmet that people have been wanting to see.
The Batman helmet, yeah.
Well, it's the Thor helmet.
Well, I mean, first he was the Flash, and then he flipped him up, and then he was Batman. Yeah.
Fine. So he's cool either way.
Yeah.
It's a cool helmet. As I was saying, the Hulk is going to be the Silver Surfer role, whereas in the original story, the Hulk fights what is considered one of the strongest gladiators, and you find out it's the Silver Surfer, who is also being forced to fight in the Colosseum.
By Jeff Goldblum.
By Jeff Goldblum's character.
How does Jeff Goldblum manage that?
How does he force them? In the comics, they have a device that essentially nullifies their powers and makes them weaker, and it can slowly kill them. And once the Hulk breaks that on the Silver Surfer, he regains his powers. And the Hulk slowly regains his when he loses his near the end of the story.
So I figured out the twist in this movie. I figured it out already. Jeff Goldblum is really Amanda Waller.
Okay, you got to walk me through that connection.
Because he plants devices that control them, and that's what Amanda Waller does. She puts bombs in their heads. It's
a bit of a stretch. Jeff Goldblum is way cooler than Amanda Waller.
Really? Than Viola Davis?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
I'm going to tell her you said that.
Tell her straight up, and she'll agree with you. Because she also has the hots for Jeff Goldblum.
Does she really?
I don't know. I'm sure she does.
You're like, everybody fucking does,
She saw Jurassic Park.
Oof.
What'd you think of the trailer, though, legitimately?
I thought it was cool. I'm not a big Thor fan, but it made me want to see it, particularly for Jeff Goldblum.
They're calling it the Guardians of Ragnarok. Because
they go, wow, wow!
Well, they're saying that it's colorful like the Guardians universe. It has a bunch of different aliens. I think that criteria, I mean, you can then apply it to anything and say, that's the Guardians movie. I think it's silly to say that, but, I mean, it looks exciting. It looks better than the last two Thor movies. It's not saying much, but this one has the fucking Hulk in it, and it has goddamn Jeff Goldblum. I'd
kill Rich. No.
Are you talking about one of his first appearances in film?
Yes.
Did you just bring up one of the most controversial lines in Jeff Goldblum's career?
Yes. Yes, I did.
All you have to do, Brokettes, is go on YouTube. You know what? I'll just play the clip for you. And we didn't say it.
Goddamn rich cunt! I kill rich cunts!
Mother's getting the shit kicked out of her.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum. I don't even.
He does it all.
He
does it all.
He does. Anyway, going back to my other point. Guardians sold. Guardians gets people excited. People cannot wait for Guardians, so why would you not make another trailer that's like Guardians?
Done and done.
Same with DC. You don't think they're going to make more trailers that come off like the Suicide Squad trailer?
Exactly right. Thor Ragnarok is set to release November 3rd, 2017.
So enough with Marvel movies. We're going to move on to some DC movies. Some speculation over some DC movies. So being that 2019 will be the 80th anniversary of Detective Comics number 27, which is what?
First appearance of Batman.
First appearance of Batman. News outlets are speculating that there will be 4 Bat Universe films that year.
So take this very lightly, Brokettes, because it is all rumor, and it is just stipulation based on a couple of fans kind of putting some pieces together from Warner Brothers and what slots they have saved for 2019 based on their DC Universe schedule. Normally we don't comment too much on these kind of rumors or speculation, But we figured it would be kind of fun to talk about what potential Bat universe they could create for 2019. And to start off, I don't think it's going to be all Batman films like the rumors believe it is, because that would kind of weaken the rest of their line from the DC Comics section. So like the Justice League, Wonder Woman, Batman, Flash, Cyborg. That would all be weakened if you just had a year of Batman. But in this case, why not have a fucking year of Batman?
Yeah.
That's what fucking sells anyway. So 4 Batman Universe films in 2019. Fans speculate that these will be Nightwing, Gotham City Sirens, Batgirl, and the solo Batman film as the 4 full film pictures.
I'd watch them.
We're going to watch them all, although cautiously, Batgirl. We're very cautiously going into that one.
And Robin the movie, that we'll see what happens there.
Same director as Lego Batman. Why not? Yeah, I'm in for fucking Nightwing.
But they got to cast somebody with like that ass. Or they got to stuff
or
it.
Or CGI it, yeah.
Why CGI when you could stuff it? Implants.
For the perfect circumference and roundness. Okay. And
you got to be able to measure it. So further rumors also speculate that The Long Halloween will be the next animated adaptation, and that the Killer Frost will be added to the roster of Suicide Squad 2. Suicide Squad.
I love Killer Frost.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. She would be an awesome addition to Suicide Squad. And you know there's going to be a new character, at least one new character, added to the roster.
My only concern about adding her is the amount of CGI that you would have to do for her to use her powers.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of shitty, especially since, aside from Enchantress, which the CGI on that didn't look amazing either way, the other characters don't have that much CGI that was needed. And Diablo's was done extremely well.
Oh, yeah. His was great. I hope he comes back. Can we just not do Killer Frost and do Diablo again?
Please. Or have Diablo with Killer Frost, because then it's like a opposites attract thing, maybe.
Ooh, are they going to be in love? But they can't be in love because she's ice and he's fire.
See? Good story points.
It's like Katara and Zuko all over again. I like this. It's better
Golden
than
ideas, DC.
Hulk and that tiny lady.
So do you lend any credibility at all to this rumor?
No, not right now. Because here's the thing. Maybe that's their plan. Maybe that's their plan, is to have this. And then Josh Whedon's going to drop out, like we all hope he does.
Joseph, you mean?
Yes, Joe Whedon. Going to drop out, Joey. Drop out, and then that'll get pushed back because now we got to find somebody else. And that puts it... I don't think they would announce definitively, yes, this is what's coming out. Because many things could happen. As we've seen, things can change.
One of the other rumors that I didn't include here, but we've got time to talk about it, is that Deathstroke would still be a villain in the solo Batman film, but that instead he would be a smaller part of the plot in which the full Bat family would be included in this Batman film to face enemies that would threaten all of Gotham that they could all be involved in. So think of it as the current Detective Comics Rebirth book, but on the big screen, with a large threat. And I'm sure the Joker would be involved in some way, because why not use the character?
Or we could pay Liam Neeson to come back as Ra's al Ghul.
Use Ra's al Ghul, I'd be fucking thrilled if you just used Ra's al Ghul, like the League of Assassins descending upon Gotham. Fuck yes. All the tickets sold. And all to me. Because, I mean, everyone else kind of knows who Ra's al Ghul is. Even though they're saying the name wrong, they still know who the character is.
Liam Neeson.
He's never too old. And I love that he's still returned for The Dark Knight Rises.
What's he doing right now?
I would have to look up his IMDb page, but I mean, I don't think there's another Taken film. Yeah, I mean, put him on in there. He should be forever getting work. He is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe The Court of Owls would be a good villain for the Batman solo film?
That'd be really cool. I don't know. I don't know how to... I guess they could do it. They make it badass.
Some people suggested Hush as like having a grand plan to descend the villains of Gotham on Batman and having something similar to the story from Hush.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm feeling that one. You could put in the Joker and he kills, what's his name? And it messes up the whole family.
Oh, you're talking about Jason Todd?
Yeah.
So we'd have to go back in time is the only thing. That wouldn't work, I don't think. Yeah, do the Court of Owls, man. Do Deathstroke. You can include him in there. But I have a feeling it's going to end up being a Joker-centric villain. Like maybe he'll be behind the scenes again, like in Suicide Squad. but something that will involve all of the Batman rogues gallery, or at least the major ones like Poison Ivy, who's already going to be in Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah.
Same with Catwoman.
And then Catwoman and Batman can be in love.
Then we've got Deathstroke, we've got Joker. I'm sure they could even cast like a Riddler if they wanted to include him in the Batman film. It's going to be tough. I mean, that screenplay, whoever's writing it, lots of credit to him.
Give it to Paul Dini.
Even if this ends up even being the thing, like this is again all speculation, all mostly baseless. It's just kind of people having fun with the future of the DC universe.
We'll find out. And of course, guys, as soon as we get information, we pass it right on to you.
So that wraps it up for our news this week. We are going to head on over to our Patreon shoutouts and then our 2 comic book highlights for the week.
Our first shout out goes to Neil, whose Twitter handle is @inmats68. He got us in contact with the Cosmunity community. The Cosmunity app, we talked about it last week, is a great app, especially for cosplayers and con goers.
Definitely trying to work on a project with them. Stay tuned. It may or may not happen, but definitely check out the Cosmunity app on iTunes and on the Android side. But our next shout out is to John at John72Tex on Twitter. He recently picked up the awesome colored version of Bruce Timm's Harley Quinn statue.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It is a beautiful piece. Very jealous. I mean, we passed on it, but that's because we have that Mondo piece coming in later this year, which is based on that vinyl record cover that has her laying down on what looks to be like a bare rug, and then she's got the different vinyl pieces around her, and it looks like a sketch on the statue itself. Like there's some line work around the eyes. It is absolutely gorgeous. And the other thing is room, having the room to display these. Although you have given me permission to get another glass case.
Yes.
To which I'm like, well, all right, maybe I can now get a couple of more statues. Like now I may get that Batcave that comes with Alfred from Batman the Animated Series. I just can't wait, if I do end up buying it, setting it up somewhere with him and his little like cleaning thing, having the Bat computer up, maybe putting Batman somewhere in there, maybe Talia next to him.
No.
All right,
no.
just Batman and Alfred.
And Catwoman.
No.
Yeah.
Alfred does not like Catwoman. Remember that in the comics.
Okay, well, he also hates Talia even more.
He does not have an opinion on
hates
Talia.
Her. Nah, hates her.
Zero opinion.
Hates
so
her.
he likes
She
Talia
killed
more than
Damian.
Catwoman.
How could he not hate her? She killed Damian.
Because he knew Batman would bring him back to life.
No, she killed Damian. Killed him.
I don't want to talk about this. We're doing Patreon shoutouts, Kelly. Let's move. I will debate this later.
I'm going to give a shout out to Alfred, who hates Talia because she killed Damian.
And huge thanks to both Neil and John for supporting us on Patreon. Every little bit helps right here on the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. All of the iTunes reviews that you have submitted thus far helps us in finding new brokettes, helping them discover the show. The word of mouth, taking the business cards. Again, huge thanks to Neil, out to your local comic book convention and spreading the word about the podcast, telling your friends, explaining to them what a podcast is if they don't know, and telling at least one person this month. If all of you told one person, one friend about the podcast, it would go a long way in helping out the show. And of course, that's a huge thanks to all the listeners that do show up and do tune in every single week. And to the Patreon backers, if you want your shout out every single month, head on over to patreon.com/TheReasonsImBroke for as little as $1 a month. That equals out to $1.25 per episode. Even less if you enjoy the unboxings that we put out each month or the Let's Plays. You too can get your shout out right here on the podcast.
And of course, guys, the best thing you can do for us, reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know what you think of the show, things that you want to see more of, things that you want to see less of, how many more times Daniel should compliment me. That's a thing. Can I post that on Twitter? Will you follow it then?
I will give it a retweet. How about that?
And of course, letting your friends know. Also, leave us a review on iTunes. That goes a very long way with helping other people find us.
And I do want to remind everyone that because many of you supported our Patreon page and have already, we were able to do the guest interviews last year when we hit goal number 2. So the interviews that are coming up, and we've got another one next week. Stay tuned for that. It is all because of our Patreon backers. So give them a huge thanks. Anytime you hear the Patreon backing shout out, make sure to reach out to them on Twitter, give them a follow, give them a thank you for helping in creating a better product for all of you out there.
And of course, we want to give a huge shout out to decalavenue.com, who helps us out with the $5 reward.
On to our comic book highlights for the week.
Our first one is Superman number 20. This is a great jumping on point, written by Pat Gleason and Peter J. Tomasi, with art by Pat Gleason, and the colorist is John Calise.
You've heard us suck this book's dick constantly on Twitter, right here on the podcast, and number 20, if you're still not reading Superman, is the perfect time to jump right onto the series and read what is definitively, according to Kelli and I, and according to what should be everyone else, the best book out of DC Comics right now, the best thing out of DC Rebirth. They're building up the shit out of Superman character, and it is something that they should have been doing and something that they are doing and they are trying to, and they're doing it successfully because this book is thoroughly good. Superman number 20 is the family story between little Jonathan Kent Jr., Clark Kent, and Lois Lane as they raise a family. If you enjoyed the New 52 Batman and Robin, this is the same thing right there with quality, but on the Superman side. And every now and again, you get an appearance by the other dad, Batman, and the other son, Damian Wayne, as they come together to work towards what is the latest villain and why they're figuring out that John Kent Jr. is not growing to the same potential rate that he should be, according to Batman.
And this book does exactly that. It starts out as a nice little, oh, look at our humble farm family, and then Batman, coming in. This is wrong. These things should be this way. I don't know what you're talking about. My son is fine. No, he's not. This should be happening. Who's the milkman? Whoa.
If you come to Gotham, you would see that the world is much darker. What was his response to that? It was like the perfect response to what Superman would say to the love of his life.
I can't hear his heartbeat. I don't know. That's the only line I remembered.
It was, well, then we need to shine brighter.
Oh, yeah. They're perfect together. I love how this Superman is married with a family, not even from this universe, and still in love with Batman.
You almost spoiled, I mean, you did spoil it, but let's go ahead and do the theme song. Superman Loves Batman moment for this comic book.
So Superman leaves. He's determined to find the source behind...
Batman leaves.
Batman leaves. He is determined to find the source behind why Jonathan is not developing as he should be. And Superman's just standing at the window, shirtless, took off his shirt. Lois is asleep in bed, so he's been standing there a long-ass time.
Just longingly looking out the window at night.
He's gone. I can't hear his heartbeat anymore.
Oh, Superman, you love Batman so much.
So much.
He will never love you back, but you continue. You are relentless. And this is after the pre-New 52 Superman and the Rebirth Superman, the New 52 Superman have merged together into one, along with Lois Lane and John Kent Jr. And it is still the strongest of loves for the Batman.
Maybe his love got a little stronger because he got that other Superman.
It's possible, yeah. I think we had summarized that the New 52 Superman was more of a physical attraction, whereas the pre-New 52 Superman was all about trying to build a family, and it was more of a mental love for Batman. So now that those two are together, it is like the perfect Superman-loving Batman.
Next time Batman comes over, he's going to be like, we don't wear shirts in this house, so we just take them off.
You like how Damien says Batman doesn't eat pies, and Superman's just looking over at him like he's smiling, but not in like a judgmental way. Like, oh, that's Batman.
That Batman. I already knew that.
And he's enjoying his pie though. Great comic. I mean, I love it. And this is once again, a jumping on point. It is a part 1. And don't worry about what happened in 1 through 19. Obviously, you should. I mean, if you get the chance to pick up the trade paperback, it's a great story. But you can start from here and you'll be fine. You will enjoy the quality writing and quality art from the Superman book.
And definitely, if you enjoy Superman or Batman or their sons, this has something in it for everybody. There's great character development, and I just love especially watching the two boys interact.
And the exact same team, both with the characters and the creative team, are on Super Sons. So buy Super Sons as well while you're at it. Or if you're reading Super Sons and you're liking it, more of a reason to pick up Superman.
And our final comic review of the week, as we mentioned all the way in the beginning, we have Harley Quinn number 17. This is another great jumping on point. Written by Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Paul Dini, with art by John Timms and Brett Blevins, and the colorist is Alex Sinclair.
So the main story, hobos are missing from the city, and Harley Quinn is investigating it. We know from the last issue and from the beginning of this one that it seems to be a different market that is using these hobos as human meat to people that are willing to pay the price for it.
Sweeney Todd.
Basically, yeah, it is basically Sweeney Todd in the DC and Harley Quinn universe. It's a fine story. It's just, it's the same stuff that we've been getting from the Harley Quinn books. It's Looney Tunes humor, it's fun, it's active, it's action-packed. Now, the end and the backup story to this is co-written by one of the co-creators of Harleen Quinzel herself. And this is also a Joker story at the same time. Through an interview, they have said that they want to explore the early days of Joker and Harley Quinn. And she has her classic outfit. On the cover itself, it's represented by the split, because we get a story of her current outfit and her current story, and then the more classic stuff. And it is just like the animated series, just like Mad Love, her trying to make the Joker happy, just simply trying to impress him, and him having his mind somewhere else.
And of course, the co-creator that we're speaking of is Paul Dini. He's written some of our favorite Harley Quinn stories, helped create the character herself, and this story is no different. It was delightful. It was Harley being Harley, and we saw her in that little red outfit, which we all knew was going to happen.
And we saw her naked at one point, which I'm like, that's a Bruce Timm thing right there. Or, I'm sorry, Paul Dini thing right there.
Of course. As Bruce Timm thing, too.
Both. That scene would have been there if Bruce Timm had originally accepted the writing offer to this and not Paul Dini. Yes, we would have gotten that exact same panel. The one thing I will say about that story is it is dialogue heavy, which is not a Paul Dini trademark. So I think that's where Jamie Palmiotti probably had some of his influence on it. It's just like the regular Harley book or any of his other series with Amanda Connor, in which there are a lot of word bubbles and sometimes it's a little excessive. So that's one thing that I was like, this is not the strongest it could be. I think Paul Dini, as we've seen before, he can bust out a story and not need to have all that much dialogue. But just the fact that we're getting a Harley Quinn story by Paul Dini with Jamie Palmiotti helping out on the side as well, I'm forever grateful for, and I'm sure you are as well. So grateful that we are having this as an option, that we are reading, and that we are enjoying this.
Definitely something that I enjoyed a lot. One thing I think I liked most about it is what we've always seen of Harley and the Joker's relationship is that he just uses and abuses her. And yes, to a large degree, he does do that. But I think there's a small part of him that kind of likes Harley. And we get to see a little bit of that in here, where he takes her out to actually do something before using her to rob a bank.
And I think that small part is what keeps him from murdering her. Although he did try to kill her in Mad Love.
Well, that's because he loves Batman more than he loves Harley.
Truth. Very true. So if you want to jump onto Harley Quinn, definitely check this out. If anything, for the backup story by Paul Dini. And that is, once again, Harley Quinn number 17, titled Red Meat Part 1.
And with that, guys, we will wrap up our podcast for this week. We thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, hit us up on Twitter at TheReasonsImBroke, at Kelli. Let us know what you thought of the show this week, maybe something you'd like to see on the next show, or just interact with us.
Don't forget to head on over to TheReasonsImBroke.com for the latest and for the links to everywhere you can find this, including the interactive player that does update as soon as we upload the latest episode. You can also find the link to our Twitter, our Pinterest, our Instagram, our YouTube page, which we just uploaded an unboxing for the Mimikyu Pokemon set. So definitely check that out and be sure to subscribe. And again, be sure to tell a friend out there. If you know someone that would enjoy an aspect of what we put out every single week, maybe they're a huge DC Comics fan, or they love Batman, or they've never heard a podcast before, and this could be a good entry-level podcast for them. Definitely let them know about the show. Once again, just point them over to TheReasonsImBroke.com.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.